everybody. Welcome back to the Book of Sean. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We have a great show for you. Fridays are always special around here. We get to recap the week. I get to show you some of the best things that I've seen all week. We do some Ask Dr. Sean, and there are some very interesting things going on in the world that I can't wait to share with you and give you my perspective on them, and then hear what you think, because I like to ask you questions as well. So we're going to have a great time tonight. Get comfortable, take your shoes off, and let's ride this donkey. Let's do some headlines. Play the bumper, Hailey. So, this is a story that will just intrigue you to no end. Check this out. Did you hear about the 60-year-old man who strangled a woman and then tried to bury her body in the backyard in South Carolina, but had a heart attack in the process? In the process of trying to bury her, he died. Deputies responded to the home after they got calls about an unresponsive man laying in the yard, and the man was identified to be Joseph Mckinnon, whose picture we just showed you, and he appeared to have died from natural causes. Laying next to him was a freshly dug grave, and in that grave was Patricia Dent, who also lived in the house with him. So apparently, Joseph strangled Patricia, and while he was digging her grave to bury her in the backyard, he had a massive heart attack and died on the lawn. Is this not the craziest thing that you've ever heard in your life? I mean, this is absolutely crazy. The man's digging a grave for somebody else that he killed and ends up needing a grave himself. Listen, you can't make this up. This really happened, people. Okay, this is not a TV show. This is not a movie. This is not a figment of my imagination. This really happened. And all I have to say is, that's what you get. That's what you get when you're out killing people, strangling people. You know what I'm saying? Clearly this man should have dug two graves. One for her and apparently one for him. Because life's not going to let you get away with just doing anything you want to do, anything you're big enough to do, anything you can concoct in the reptilian recesses of your mind to people. Life is going to hold you accountable eventually, beloved. And not just Joseph, okay? All of us. You just can't treat people bad and do whatever you want to do and think it's never going to come back and visit you in some kind of way. And for Mr. Joseph Mckinnon, it really came back to get him. I mean, you want to talk about karma? I did a show this week about someone was talking about karma, but misappropriating how karma works. This is karma. You just strangle somebody, you dig in the grave, and then you end up dying on the lawn next to him. Beloved, can I give you some advice? And I give you advice because I love you and I want you to do well. I want your life to be everything you always wanted. And here's the advice that I want to give you. You listening? Because this is important. Stop hurting people and thinking you're going to get away with it, because you are not. Sometimes the hurt you give is the hurt you get. It's true that you reap what you sow. I'm telling you, man, I've lived long enough to know that you will reap what you sow, whether you like it or not. And the invitation is stop hurting people. Just stop it. If you can't deal with someone, if someone's driving you crazy to the degree that you want to strangle them, leave. Pick up your keys and your wallet, you know what I'm saying, and pack you a bag and leave. Leave. You can always leave. You don't have to stand there and destroy somebody, hurt somebody, cuss somebody out, all the things that we do to people, and none of which we should probably be doing to anybody, especially the people that we claim to love. If you're that upset with somebody and you have that much conflict and that much friction, walk out the door, because the victory will be your freedom and your separation. It's the craziest thing in the world to end up hurting somebody that you said you used to love. Now you hate. You end up hurting them, right? And now you have to pay for what you did. In the case of Mr. Joseph Mckinnon, he really paid for what he did. Let me say it again. If you can't deal with somebody, walk out the door. What does the song say? Go ahead and free yourself. Free yourself. Let's move on. Because that's the craziest story. That's the craziest story I've ever heard, or at least the craziest story I've heard in at least 10 years. He's digging a grave for somebody, ends up needing a grave for himself. Whew. Anyway, All right, let's talk about what's going on in Florida, because I don't live in Florida, and I've never lived in Florida. I've only lived in New York, Illinois, and I've lived in, well, New York, Cambridge, Illinois, and then, of course, here in California. But there's some strange things going on in Florida right now, people, all right? And this story is an embodiment of the strangeness. Check this out. So apparently, Florida school teachers will soon be required to dedicate at least 45 minutes of classroom instruction every November to teaching about the victims of communism. The governor of Florida signed a bill requiring teachers to teach students about communist leaders and how people suffer under their regimes. So in the state of Florida, you can't teach critical race theory in the classroom, and you can't teach James Baldwin, and you can't teach Toni Morrison. But in the state of Florida, you are mandated by law now, starting in November, to teach about communism and the vicissitudes of communism. So we can't teach critical race theory, but we got to teach the kids about communism. Okay? This is why rational people can't take conservatives seriously. And this is why I don't take them seriously, okay? Because how are you going to say that my children, no, let's say it better. How are you going to say that your children can't learn about slavery, but my children have to learn about communism? Is that not a contradiction? Is that not cognitive dissonance? So you're going to mandate that your children don't have to learn about racism and race and white supremacy in America, but then you mandate that my kids have to learn about communism. Because that's a big problem in the country, communism. We got communism breaking out all over in America. We got to teach the kids about that, right? Since communism is doing so well in the world. It's the burgeoning new, form of government. Listen. Why is it that the government should be in our education, involved in our education when it comes to race, but the government shouldn't be involved in education when it comes to things that conservatives care about? You see what I'm saying? It is the hypocrisy of conservatism that always gets them in trouble. Huh? I got some advice. You guys tell me what you think. How about we leave educating the children to educators? There's a thought. How about we leave what kids should learn in school to teachers and administrators and principals who are experts in education? Because listen, you might disagree. Reasonable people can disagree. I understand that. But the governor of Florida is not qualified, rather, and educated, really. He's not qualified to make decisions about education. He's not an educator. He didn't go to school for that. He has no expertise in that. And some legislator in Florida, some state senator, some state rep, they're not. No, what are y'all? Listen, leave education to the educators. People who know what it is to educate a child. And let me say this, and some of y'all may disagree with this, but I'm going to say it anyhow, because, it's my day of the week where I get to just say a bunch of stuff. How about we don't leave what kids learn necessarily always to parents either? Yeah, I know. Because now we're living in a time we think that parents should decide what their kids learn in school. And I think parents should have a voice and a role, but they shouldn't make all the decisions. Most parents in this country are not really qualified to decide what children should be learning in school. I know that's hard to hear, but I can back it up. I got receipts. You want receipts for this? There is a reason why we created the public school system in this country. We created the public school system in this country because parents proved themselves incapable, proved themselves, disinterested, proved themselves too busy, too stressed out, whatever it is, to educate their children at home. And so the public school system had to be created to make sure that kids learned while parents did the things that parents had to do to keep clothes on their back and a roof over their head. And I think we need to leave education to educators. People know what they're doing. Should parents have a voice? Of course they should. Of course. But politicians? No. Ron DeSantis, if you live in Florida, is going to make your kids learn about communism, but he doesn't want your kids to learn anything about racism in America. He wants them to learn about a threat that's not a part of their country, instead of learning about a condition that's been a part of the country since the beginning of the founding of it. let's move on. Let's talk more about politicians, because politicians are an interesting bunch of people. My first job out of college was working for a politician. I worked for Congressman Floyd H. Flake in Jamaica, Queens, New York. One of my best jobs I had. I loved working for him. And so I got to know a lot of politicians. So check this out. Tina Peters is the Mesa County, Colorado clerk. And she was recently barred from participating in the upcoming election by a Colorado district judge. And this is the second time that Ms. Peters has been removed from the post. In March, Ms. Peters was indicted of multiple felonies and misdemeanor counts by a grand jury after an investigation revealed that her security at the election was not secure. They had several breaches. And a district court judge decided in Mesa County in Colorado that she should not have anything to do with future elections, at least the election in November, because there's something shady going on with this security breach. Now, I wish I could say that that was it, but she was also investigated by the FBI. The FBI investigated her, a grand jury indicted her, and thank God a judge removed her from having anything to do with these elections. But this is how you steal an election. You steal an election by having people run the election who are corrupt and decadent. That's how you steal an election. You make sure the people who are running it are going to run it in the direction that they want it to go. And my question is this where we've gotten to, America? Is this what this country's come to? Yeah, you don't even try to have better ideas. You don't even try to win popular support by the profundity and the compelling charisma of what it is your vision is for the country. Oh no, you don't need to have a vision. Just think about it in the last election. What was Donald Trump's vision? What was his vision for America? I'll give you $5 if you can tell me. He had no vision. No. Is this what we're coming to? Where you run for high office, governor, senator, president, and all you have to do is just put people in place who will steal the election for you. This country cannot long abide, nor will it endure, if that's what we've come to, where we are actively, openly willing to steal elections in broad daylight. Thank God for this district judge who decided that somebody who is apparently, allegedly corrupt should not be corrupting elections. There was a time in this country when we could assume that elections were, fair and public, but apparently that time is coming to an end. And for all of you who think that voting doesn't matter, and you don't care about voting, and you don't want to hear nothing about it, here's the only question I want to ask you. You ready? If voting didn't matter or doesn't matter, then why are there so many people hell-bent on trying to keep you from doing it? If voting didn't matter, why are they trying to steal your votes? Nobody steals something that doesn't matter. Nobody tries to concoct something towards someone else if the situation doesn't matter. Here's newsflash, people, it matters. Your voting matters. Because right now, women are about to lose the right to choose what to do with their bodies because voting matters. Can you imagine if Donald Trump was in the White House right now with this war in Ukraine and Russia? What would be going on, how far Putin would be going because Trump would be letting them do it? Because voting matters. They're trying to steal your vote, and they're trying to concoct new things about this election and put people in place who shouldn't be in place because they don't want you to exercise your power. But my job tonight is to remind you that you have it and to be vigilant about it. So on whatever level you happen to be voting, whether it is national or statewide or local, just make sure you look into these people who are running these elections, because we can no longer assume that the people who run our elections are running them the way they're supposed to be run. I got some more headlines when we come back. Some more very interesting stories, because there's some strange things going on in the world today. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. More headlines, more headlines, more headlines. What a week it's been in the country. And, every week in this country brings something new and interesting and sometimes nonsensical. And this particular story borders on the absurd. And that's why I thought we should talk about it, because absurdity is at the very least, absurdity is interesting, right? At the very least, that which will drive you into levels of rage and I don't know, is worth the trouble of talking about. Listen to this story. So the Federal Appeals Court ruled on Wednesday that California's ban on the sale of semi-automatic rifles to so-called adults under 21 was unconstitutional. A two-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said that the Second Amendment protects the rights of young adults to keep and bear arms, which includes the right to purchase them. So check this out, just in case you were a little confused by that. The Court of Appeals is saying that if you are 18, 19, or 20, you are mature enough to buy a semi-automatic rifle. 18, 19, 20, you should have the right to buy a semi-automatic rifle, okay? That's what the Court of Appeals just said, and it struck down California's ban on allowing people younger than 21, but as old as 18, to be able to buy these guns. Okay, so check this out. Let's just work our way through this, okay? Because the absurdity must be realized. We're going to understand the absurdity together. Check this out. So you, in most cases, we colloquially say, not legally, but colloquially we say that an 18-year-old is a kid when it comes to sex, but not a kid when it comes to buying a gun. Let me prove it. So if a 40-year-old was dating an 18-year-old, what would we all say? Be honest, tell the truth, shame the devil. We would all say, why is that old man or old woman dating that kid? Isn't that what we would say? If a 40-year-old, 45-year-old was dating an 18-year-old, we'd be like, why is that old person dating that kid? Okay? No, stay with me. Do you know that in the state of California, the minimum age to consume or buy alcohol is 21? So in the same state that lowered the age for you to be able to buy a semi-automatic rifle, in that same state, you have to be 21 to buy beer. So you can buy beer, but you can buy a rifle, but you can't buy beer? I'm lost, people. 2, 3, are you lost? I'm totally lost with the logic. I do not understand the logic. So I got to be 21 to buy beer, but I can be 18 to buy a semi-automatic rifle. What is an 18-year-old doing with a semi-automatic rifle? Do we really want 19 and 18-year-olds with semi-automatic rifles? Really? Do we really want that? But apparently the California Court of Appeals said, oh, no problem. Not a problem. Let them have it. See, I don't think you need a PhD in constitutional law to know that this belies and defies common sense. See, some things may be constitutional, but that don't make them necessarily ethical. And I think an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old having access to a semi-automatic rifle, there's something morally problematic about that. Because we all know, if you can Google this, we all know that the brain of a young person does not stop developing until they're 25 years old. And we're going to put weapons that can perpetuate mass shootings in the hands of people whose brains are still developing. We give you a gun in America when we won't give you beer. Listen, beloved, everything legal may not be ethical. Everything constitutional may not be moral. Everything permissible may not be righteous. Everything that you have access to may not be everything that you should choose. Everything that you have the power to do may not be the thing you use your power to accomplish. Please hear me when I tell you this. Thinking is an important part of what we ought to try to reach for in this country. And if common sense is the basic premise of what our laws should be rooted in, then we just failed this week. Because this week, we giving 18-year-olds guns. I'd rather they have a glass of wine. All right, let's talk about my dear brother, Charles Herbster. Charles Herbster is a businessman who repeatedly has been accused of sexual misconduct, and he lost his bid for the Republican Party's nomination to be the governor of Nebraska. Okay, so check this out, just in case you was missing it. You see him there. Keep that up there for me, John Boy. This man right here has repeatedly been accused of sexual misconduct And of course, that's why I'm having you keep it up there, he was endorsed by Donald Trump. Because these are the kind of people that Donald Trump would endorse. So that man accused multiple times of sexual misconduct, and Trump said, yep, that's my candidate. I love him, I endorse him. Okay? And here's what I wanted to say to you. You can tell a lot about somebody by the company they keep. You hear me? You can tell a lot about who a man or a woman is by who they endorse and who they allow themselves to be around. You see, liars tend to be more comfortable around liars, and decadent people tend to want to spend their time with other decadent people. You follow what I'm saying? My mama used to put it this way. My mama used to say that water seeks its own level. And what she meant by that is the kind that you are is the kind that you attract, and it's the kind that you're most comfortable with. It is no wonder that Donald Trump would endorse a man accused of multiple sexual misconduct allegations. You see, if you're trying to make a decision about somebody in your life, let me give you some advice. This is not the advice part of the show, but this is for free. If you're trying to make the decision about somebody in your life, where to put them, if to keep them, if to not let them be around anymore, I should say, watch who they spend their time with. Don't just look at them, look at the company that they keep, because their company will tell you a lot about their character, and the people they can stand spending time with tells you a lot about what's going on in them. Because if you are not something, and you are diametrically opposed to something, you are not going to be comfortable around people who represent something that you are fundamentally against. When you're trying to make a decision about a girlfriend or a boyfriend, check out who's in their space. What kind of people they keep around, huh? Because if they're comfortable around shady people, petty people, narcissistic people, selfish people, then it tells you something about what's going on in them, even if they're performing in a way that doesn't reveal that that's who they are. Because they can perform in front of you, that's one thing. But who they like to spend their time with, that's another thing. And both things matter. Listen to me, man. Not all support is support. And not all rejection is rejection. There's some people, when I started out in my journey, there were some people who would not support me and would not endorse me, and I was glad that they didn't do it. Because I didn't want their support. I didn't want them to affirm what I was doing, because I was fundamentally against what they stood for. Because not all support is support, and not all rejection is rejection. And the fact that Donald Trump would support a man like this tells you everything you need to know about Donald Trump. And I'm glad he lost. Trump and the guy that wanted to be the governor of Nebraska. Let's do one more. All right, check this out. Shout out to Anthony Anderson, everybody. Anthony Anderson graduated from Howard University. He graduated from the Chadwick Boseman College of Fine Arts with a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And so we honor him today. There's Chadwick, the School of Fine Arts named after him. We celebrate Anthony Anderson. Yes. Who celebrated the milestone with his son, Nathan, who you see there, who is also a graduate of Howard University. And it's good to see the dear brother respecting education. It's good to see Anthony Anderson thinking that in spite of his millions and his popularity and his TV show, that growing and learning is an important thing to do. Just the other day, I was on social media and I heard a bunch of people saying, not just one person, by the way, a bunch of people saying that college is a waste of time, and you don't need higher education to be successful. And I thought to myself, wow, is that where we are? Is that where we are? Here's what I know for sure. If you want to entertain the world, you're absolutely right. You don't need to go to college. Just jump on YouTube and put a green screen behind you and have at it. But if you want to lead the world, you have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, if you just want to entertain the world, you're right. Get on YouTube and go for it. And you get all the followers you want and all the likes you need to make you feel good about whatever it is you're trying to do. But if you want to lead the world, determine the direction of humanity, what will be the length and breadth and the height and the substance of what we're going to become in the next 50 to 100 years, your mind has to be renewed. Huh? YouTube ain't going to help you with that. A green screen is not going to help you in that endeavor. And that's what Anthony Anderson understood. He understood that when it's all said and done, that we need leaders who can think. We got too many people just committed to performing, Too many people just want views and likes and just want to perform. And I'm all for people getting the attention that they need. I got it. But we got too many people who just want attention. We're at a state in our country, and certainly with our people, where we need leaders. Who will lead? Who will take us into new directions and new levels? Who will give birth to burgeoning ideas and lift us beyond the precipice of this moral morass that we find ourselves in, where we're giving semi-automatic rifles to 18-year-olds? And we got former presidents endorsing people who are accused of sexual misconduct. We need leaders, not just entertainers. So there's somebody out there watching. We need you to be educated. We need you to encounter Baldwin and Morrison and Cornel West and James Weldon Johnson. And yes, we need you to encounter Nietzsche and Schopenhauer. You know what I'm saying? We need you to know who James Cone is. Ivan Van Sertima, John Henry Clark, the University of Timbuktu, Songhai Mali, the Book of Dead, the Degree of Shu Anu. You know any of that? We need people who know that kind of stuff. We need leaders. And if you don't think I'm right, you think I'm just, blabbling on, let me, I got receipts. Slavery legally ended in this country in 1865. And do you know what 4 million formerly enslaved Africans did together? They went to school. They went to school. Right after slavery, they went to school. Most of the historically black colleges and universities were founded right after slavery. Most of them founded within 10 to 15 years of the end of slavery. Most of them. Most of them. Morehouse, 1867. I mean, most of it. Slavery ends in 1865. Morehouse founded in 1867. Because formerly enslaved Africans understood that the only way to better their lives was to better their minds. They understood that the one thing that they had been denied was access to learning and access to the ability to be transformed by the renewing of their minds. May is graduation season. So shout out to all the graduates who are graduating. I got a story later and the best things I've seen all week that's going to celebrate this a little more. But shout out to all the graduates who are graduating and all the people who still believe that developing your mind and your character matters as much as getting likes and views. Because I promise you, if all we do is entertain, we in trouble. We've already seen that the dominant population in this country are losing their minds quickly. And they're going to need black and brown, LGBTQ, and women and poor white people to step up and to lead, which means you're probably going to need you to have read a book. I love this show so much. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some best things that I've seen all week. I got some stuff for you, people. In the meantime, read a book. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. 2-3 liked, he enjoyed the leadership question. He liked that one over there. I like it too. I just think the question of leadership is a great and important question. So, when we do these shows on this particular day, I get to show you some of the best things that we've seen all week. Some of these I choose, some of these my producers choose, but these are the best sort of videos, the best little vignettes that we've seen all week. Some of them to inspire you, some of them to make you feel amazing, some of them to make you laugh, some of them to make you do all three, because there's nothing wrong with all three. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, pay the bumper highly. So yes, I'm a college guy, went to college, obviously, went to graduate school, blah, 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 blah. And when I went to college, I had a lot of debt, okay? A lot of debt. You hear me over there? A lot of debt. And back in my day when I was in school, nobody was volunteering to help you with your debt. It was your problem, all right? Your debt, your problem. But something amazing happened this week at a college graduation. I'm doing the wrong video. All right, erase everything I just said, because what I want to show you now is the video of a father, I saved myself, surprising his son with something about graduation. Just play the video.
She wanted me to show you that.
This is so good. Yeah, look at it.
So the video there, even though I flubbed it, was was a father surprising his son to let his son know that he was graduating. Yes, that's what you just saw. We thought that was a great video because there are, I know in my family, I was the first to go to college and graduate from college in my family. And now what we're seeing more and more is that second generation folks are not the only people who are graduating from college. Is that now their parents are going back and getting those degrees, and that father was able to surprise his son and to let him know, you ain't the only one getting a college education. It's kind of like Anthony Anderson and his son Nathan, right? Folks are getting degrees because it's important to them. All right, let's take a look at another video. And this was the video that I was trying to cue that I got confused in the order because I was excited about. This video speaks to my self-interest, which is probably why I was so interested in it. Because like I said before, when I went to college, nobody was trying to help me pay this bill. But something amazing happened at Wiley College. Let's take a look at this. Best thing I've seen all week.
You do not owe the college a penny. If you have a balance, you had a balance. You no longer have a balance. I want to give you.
Listen, I'm trying to figure out why those people should have been up running around, and there should have been more joy, don't you think? At my college graduation, it was in June of 1994. That's when I graduated from college. And if somebody would have gotten up and said, you who owe the college balance no longer have a balance, I'd have been running around like it was 11 o'clock on Sunday morning in a Church of God in Christ convention or something. I'd have acted a fool. But it's just amazing. I mean, shout out to whoever did that, whoever paid that money. I would that everybody would have, that experience. And those graduates have to really feel great about the fact that they get to leave college and not have the burden of financial debt and college loans on them. That's a wonderful thing. It would be great if all across America at HBCUs and other schools, when people said, you know what, we took care of your debt. Go and live your life. Go follow your dreams. It's a wonderful thing, It's a wonderful thing. I'm just saying I wish I had it. Don't you wish you had it too? Unless you're a Wiley College graduate from this year watching right now, and then in that case, you do have it. And congratulations. That's a beautiful thing. Let's do a couple more, because this has to be one of the most this is my best thing that I've seen all week. Okay, I chose this one. All right, so on Tuesday, a passenger with no flying experience managed to land a small plane in Florida after the pilot became incoherent during a medical emergency. That's literally the plane. Okay, and this is one of the best stories that I've heard all week. So the flight was coming into Florida from the Bahamas, which is about an hour and a half flight. And somewhere during the flight, the pilot became incoherent and passed out. The passenger gets on the radio and tells air traffic control what's going on, and he says, and I quote, "I have no idea how to fly a plane." And they were able, the air traffic controllers were able to talk him through the steps of how to land the plane successfully, and that's exactly what he did. This man landed the plane successfully, and what you just saw was them on the runway, on the tarmac, after someone with no flying experience landed the plane. And I love this story for this reason, because it goes to show you that learning how to follow directions might just save your life. You hear me? Because there's no room to play when you up in the air and the people are telling you press this and don't press that. So everybody who has a problem with following directions on the ground, you might want to figure that out, because you might need it one day in the air. Let's do a couple of more of these. All right. So in most weddings, you have a flower girl. In this wedding, you have a flower man. Let's take a look at this. All right. No flower man yet. Are we ready for the next one? Can we do the next one? All right, let's do the next one. All right, check this out. So check this out. This little guy has a message for the world that the world needs to hear. And we thought that this video would be good for the soul. Because every now and then, need something good for your soul. Check this out.
Let me tell you, sleep. Life is good.
You know, in case you didn't hear him, what he said was, let me tell you a secret. Life is good. I wish we could play the video again, but apparently we have a moratorium on multiple times playing videos. That's a great video. Cute little kid telling you life is good. And that's where I'm going to leave you before we take this break. I got a real big secret for you, that life is actually pretty good. In spite of everything you've been through and everything the world is trying to do to you and everything people would like to happen to you, life is still good. God has done more for you than your enemies have done to you. And every now and then you ought to sit down and just count the good. Take catalog, take stock of all the great things that are still happening to you. And if you can't find nothing else, I got at least 3 things for you. You woke up this morning, you're still breathing, and you're watching the Book of Sean. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. So before we took our break, we couldn't show you the Flower Man video, but I so wanted you to see this. So we got all the technical difficulties worked out. Check this video out. Most weddings have flower girls. This wedding had a flower man. Check him out. Yes. This is what I'm talking about right here. Yes. I love it. Listen. Give this man there's something to be said with just leaning into it. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do it, do it. That's why I love that video. He's like, look, if I'm going to be the flower person, I'm going to lean into it, give it everything I got. I thought that was great. I thought it was great. You know, people just exploding the boundaries, right? You know, it's a good thing. It's good for the soul, all right? So the next time somebody asks you to do something, don't do it halfway with half your little heart. Put all your heart into it. And you never know, you might end up being on a TV show where people honor your tenacity and commitment. Anyway, let's do some Ask Dr. Sean, people. Play the bumper, Hiley. You guys always send me amazing videos, and I thank you for them. You guys are just amazing when it comes to the videos that you send in, the questions and the emails and the DMs. Thank you for that. Let's take a look at this video sent in by Kenneth.
Hello, Dr. Sean. My name is Kenneth from Georgia. My question is, how do you overcome failures? And I just want to say thank you so much for your time, Dr. Sean, and have a great day.
Oh, thank you, Kenneth. Kenneth's such a nice guy, right? Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate you wishing me a nice day. And I think I have a really good answer to your question. I never try to overcome failure. I think people spend too much time trying to overcome it and not enough time trying to learn from it. I study my failures. I sit down and let my failures and the people who facilitated my failures, I let them be my teachers. Because the best of what I'm going to learn about myself won't come from my success. Wisdom does not come from success. Because if you heard me say 1,000 times on this show, wisdom is what you get when you don't get what you want. And when you fail, that's the opportunity for you not to get over it, but to learn from it. And if you learn from it, you won't have to get over it because you'll outgrow it. And when you outgrow it, getting over it becomes the least of your concerns because you are fundamentally a different person. So my invitation to you is to really see failure as your classroom, to really see it as a part of the journey, a necessary part of whatever it is you're trying to do and whatever it is you're trying to become. You will not get to where you're trying to move in your life without encountering failure. It is a part of the matrix. It's a part of the recipe. 2 parts goodness, 1 part greatness, another part grace, another part opportunity, last part failure. You mix it all together and you get Michael Jordan. You get LeBron James. You get Oprah Winfrey. You get Barack Obama, who took a shellacking when he ran for Congress in the state of Illinois. You follow what I'm saying? Everybody that you know who's significant has had terrible moments of failure. Michael Jordan couldn't get past the Boston Celtics, and then he couldn't get past the Detroit Pistons. And then all of a sudden he did. And then nobody could get past him because he learned from his failures. LeBron James came into the league and everybody said, oh, he's the chosen one. And what did people say? You won't be great until you win a championship. And he couldn't get there until he did. Because failure is a part of how we succeed. So stop trying to figure out how to overcome failure and start trying to figure out how to use failure and make it one of the best things that ever happened to you. I can look back on my life and say unequivocally that there are moments when I can truly declare, I'm glad I failed. Anyway, somebody DM me this question. Thank you, Kenneth, for that question. But somebody DM me this question. Over the last 2 years, I've gained a lot of weight. My husband makes negative comments about my weight, which is ruining my self-esteem and putting a strain on our marriage. Should I lose weight to save my marriage? Great question. A lot of people go through it. I'm going to say, yes, you should lose weight, but I don't think you should lose weight to save your marriage. I think you should lose weight to save yourself and to make sure that you're alive long enough to enjoy your marriage. And I don't appreciate your husband, giving you a hard time about it, although I do understand, and he does have the right to sort of articulate what he's not attracted to and, what he needs. He does have that right, okay? But I do think he could be a little more supportive. But I also think that you ought to be a little more assertive and a little more clear about what you expect for yourself. See, losing weight for him is a recipe for you never to lose weight. But losing weight for you is a recipe for you to do it and to do it marvelously and to do it with vigor and with maximum success. Do this for you. And if in the process you happen to save your marriage, then great. But I'd much rather you save your life. Because your marriage won't mean a whole lot if you ain't around to enjoy it, be a part of it, or make it better. So yeah, lose the weight. Make sure that you are appearing in the world in a way that, absolutely represents the best of who you are. I don't know, losing weight ain't easy. I struggle with it all the time. A lot of us watching right now, part of this conversation this moment, we all struggle with it. But losing weight and being healthy is something you do for you. I would never recommend that anybody do it for somebody else. Because the moment he makes you upset is the moment you're going to go get you some cake. You know what I'm saying? And then it turns into a spiteful contest to see how much I can make you more upset about the fact that I'm not losing weight. Don't do this for him. This is for you. This is for the you always wanted to be and the you that you deserve. This is for you rising up out of the ashes. This is for you taking the worst of the pandemic and the worst of what we've gone through and turning it into the best of what you're about to become. This is about you grabbing the reins of your life and telling everything and anything, I will not be your slave. You will not manipulate me or break me into eating things or becoming things that I don't want to be. This is about you standing in the light and knowing that you deserve to be there because you did the work, because you mastered yourself. That's what this is about. So, I want you to save your marriage, but I want you to master yourself more than that. And once you do that, then you can look at the marriage and look at your husband and decide what to do. Because then you'll be operating from a place of strength and not a place of weakness. Oh, that's good. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more Ask Dr. Sean right after this. Welcome back, everybody. So let's do some more Ask Dr. Sean. Hailey, you know what to do. I enjoy yelling out stuff for Hailey to do. It's my guy. All right, let's watch another. Oh, am I doing, what am I doing? Am I doing a video? DM. Okay, I'm doing a DM. All right, so someone DM me this question. A married couple moved next door to my wife and me a month ago, and we invited them over for dinner to get to know them. And they seem like nice people rather. But over the weekend, they decorated their front porch with anti-gay flags, which is hurtful because they know our son is gay. Do we have the right to ask them to remove their flags, or should we mind our own business? First of all, I didn't know there was anti-gay flags. Is there such a thing as an anti-gay flag? I've never even heard of that. All right. So, interesting question. Complicated question because it is their porch. It is their house. They pay the mortgage. It is America. And you can put whatever flag you want to put out on your porch, in front of your house. They have the right. What's interesting, however, is that I also think that before we sort of, confront people and cancel people, maybe it's also good to have another conversation with them about what it represents and means to you. It doesn't mean that they're going to change their mind, right? Because if they're entrenched in their beliefs, then they're going to probably proceed in the direction that they're going. But I think we have to learn how to be neighbors again. Learn how to be neighbors with people who we disagree with and may not like their positions. And just because I don't like your position doesn't mean that I necessarily have to be cantankerous and have conflict and confrontational with you. I think the real interesting thing here is for you and your family to live out loud and proud and to love your son while you live next door to people who don't like it. You know, we don't have to live in the world where everybody around us likes what it is we think and believe. The true test of a belief is, can you hold on to it when the world doesn't agree with it, when the people around you don't affirm it? It's easy to believe something when everybody's clapping for what you believe, but can you believe that LGBTQ people are God's children? They have a right to exist, to live, to thrive, to grow, and to be everything that God wants them to be, while you live next door to someone who believes the complete opposite. Now that's interesting. We call that bearing witness. And so I invite you, more than trying to convince somebody to take a flag down, I invite you to bear witness to what you know love to be about and to what courage actually stands for. Because the truly courageous stands for what they stand for, even when the rest of the world is determined to sit down. So talk to your neighbors, you know, tell them how you feel, but don't expect them to change their mind. Don't expect them to take their little flag down. And I would invite my son and whoever he's dating to come on over and hold hands on the front lawn. Do a little kissing on the front lawn. Because if they can pull up a flag saying that they don't like LGBTQ people, then we can be in our house declaring and making it known that love is love, and that God is love, and that every human being has the right to be loved and to be cared for. And none of us have the right to decide how another human being enters into that witness and that process. So don't necessarily worry about them taking their flag down. They don't have to take their flag down. You just take a stand and keep right on standing. All right, let's do another one. Someone emailed me this question. My boyfriend no longer courts me or takes me. That's an old-fashioned word there. Courts me or takes me on dates. When I tried to talk to him about how I felt, he said that he wouldn't stop. Go back down. Okay. He said that he wouldn't stop me if I thought I could find someone who would treat me better. Should I call him on his bluff and dump him, or stick it out and hope that he will change? This is such an interesting question. Okay, I'm going to help you out, okay? Because the questions you ask me are not the questions you should be asking me in this particular scenario. So you're dealing with someone who doesn't court you, doesn't take you out, and not treating you the way you want to be treated, right? That's what you told me. And then when you mention it to him, he said, if you think you can find somebody out there who could treat you better, you go find them. And you're asking me if you should call him on his bluff? This is not a bluff. I love you, my dear sister, but this is not a bluff. You're being disrespected. And worse still, you're being disrespected to your face. He's not even trying to disrespect you behind your back. He's literally not giving you the attention you need. He's not treating you the way you want to be treated. And he's telling you he's not changing. And if you would like to find somebody else, he's giving you the opportunity to go find it. And you want to talk about a bluff? This ain't a bluff. Homeboy is serious. He's serious about the fact that you being treated the way you want to be treated is not a priority to him. Now, it doesn't have to be a priority to him. It just has to be a priority to you. Now, this ain't about calling his bluff. This is about you making a decision rooted in your power and in your strength. Are you going to continue to let somebody treat you any kind of way? And then literally invite you to see if you can go find, somebody else to treat you better. As if finding somebody else to treat you better is an impossibility because you're not worthy of that. As if this person is the height of what you're going to get romantically out in the world. I mean, come on now. If I were you, I would make a firm decision about what I needed and what I expected in a relationship. And if I didn't get it, I would definitely invite myself to find what I needed somewhere else. Don't let nobody disrespect you to your face like that. And then you sit there and try to figure out if you should call their bluff. No, don't call your bluff. Summon your dignity. Find your courage. pack your bags and walk out the door and let him find somebody as good as you. All right. Listen, people, isn't that interesting? It's totally interesting. It is totally, it's interesting what people will accept in the world. You know what I'm saying? Stop accepting people's trash. You deserve better than that. Don't let people treat you any kind of way. And if they can't give you what you need, it's okay. Just say to them, you know what, thank you for being honest, and then you move on to make sure your needs are fulfilled. My God. Nobody's going to treat you better until you make them. I know that for sure. Thank you for being a part of the show today. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon. If you need advice, make sure you send it in. Send me your questions. We'd love to answer your questions. Listen, I'll see you soon, all right? Y'all be good to each other.